Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. This case study is about Syarikat Zumaju is a newly established high technology company. We analyze that the Syarikat Zumaju have problem with working hours among their employees who came late to work are a constant problem, such as heavy traffic near office, send their children to daycare facilities, and work at night. In our case study, we have discussed the steps should take by Syarikat Zumaju and how they solve their problems. We will present the issue in question, such as what are the working hours options available to the company. Second, what steps should the company take to find out whether changing the working hours will solve the problem the company is facing. Third, what kind of action as an employee can be taken to a Syarikat Zumaju who has ordered overtime exceed beyond working hours without double pay the overtime and the impact to our staff mental health? What can the company do to help employees balance their time management during working hours? And the last issue is what step can be taken by Syarikat Zumaju against employee who often come to work very late by always giving reason for traffic congestion.
Many working hours anytime during the day. Why was is done during working hours? For a day, for 8 hours. For a week, for 40 hours of work. The meaning of overtime is that the employees can work of certain number working hours. Employees are allowed up to a maximum of 4 hours per month. The advantage of overtime for an employee is the production of service or opportunity of the employees. Employees will become accustomed to work that often goes through the same task while working. The opportunity for employees to increase income is also an advantage of overtime in the workplace. Salary payment are made by the hours. The disadvantage of overtime for employees is accident at work. Employees who work overtime cause them to feel tired and lack rest, so their workforce is getting less so that they can endanger themselves at work, such as fighting. The way to make sure all employees achieve at the same time is to talk about working hours. Company need to change same working hours like changing 8 to 9. Second, imposing disciplinary action on employees is also a way to ensure all employees achieve at the same time. Employees have to charge a pay cut if they come late on a association basis.
I will answer the question what steps should the company take to find out whether changing the working hours will solve the problem the company is facing. In changing the working hours, the human resource management at Syarikat Zumaju Sedia Berhad should do several steps to solve the problem. The first step is requesting a change to working hours. The human resource manager should request a change to a workers' working hours and should look at the individual circumstance of the workers before the company decide to change the working hours. Moreover, the human resource management should notify the workers of the proposed change of working hours as soon as possible. They may be more agree with the company's plan. Furthermore, employees need flexible working hours such as from 8 a.m. until 5 p.m. or 10 a.m. until 6 p.m. For example, a change from part-time to full-time working, it will be affecting their caring arrangement, while a reduction in hours may affect their financial problems. Second step is explain the reason for the change. The human resource management also should explain the reason for the change that the company makes. It involving all employees in changing working hours. The employer must be transparent toward their workers. It is because the company needs a good team to rise the income of their company. Explanation from their employer can make all employees get notice and they can prepare physically and mentally for the change. The third step is how the company decide to change their working hours. The company should update the contract when all workers agree with the change. This is important for the company to ensure that the change are successful. Then, the company must inform a month before the change and explanation apply in the contract and how it will affect them. In addition, the company decide to change the working hours to make sure the employees can focus on their job. The fourth step is new proposed hours and pay if applicable. In the new working hours, the company should give the employees motivation in order to increase their enthusiasm and dedicate themselves to work in the company. The salary must be worded with their working hours that the company change. It is because the employees deserve to get the best salary for their work and time that is given from the company. As a result, changing the working hours can make all employees happy and they can manage their time and they can spend their time on their personal life and working life. The employee also can be more focused on their job. In other way, the company can get benefit from the excellent performance of their employees.
Hello and Assalamualaikum. Today I will present additional question 3. What kind of action as employee can be towards syarikat Zumaju have order overtime exceed beyond working hours without double pay and the overtime impact to our staff mental health? Okay, firstly we start with definition of overtime. Overtime is a working hours can be defined as a person has worked exceed to their normally scheduled working. It can be illustrated person need to work outside standard scheduled working hours. The action can be taken as employee is firstly we can discuss with human resource department for consult about overtime working hours. We can ask the head of department to give tasks fairly and square so that no one will working overtime. The second one is report to the labor office if manager human resource not take any action, because this is to defend ourselves from prosecute and torture from employer. Based on Employee Act 1955, if you need working overtime, the company should pay 2 times based on real salary. The impact mental health from overtime working hours, we will get depression and anxiety. Based on several studies, if workers need to work exceed 34 hours or 48 hours in a week, can make someone get depression and anxiety are higher. Syarikat Zumaju needs to responsible to give a staff rest enough. The second one is sleep and fatigue. Work too long makes someone will get not enough rest and fatigue. It can damage reputation company if staff has not enough rest because they was less concerned about welfare staff. The last one is hypertension. The several study or the researcher in the thesis define stress at workplace are role play development to get hypertension. It's very important to protect us from exposed to hypertension because hypertension can get the high blood pressure.
Question number 4 is what can the company do to help employees to balance their time management during working hours? The first point to emphasize is that they must set limits with their customers. To maintain a highly fulfilled and effective workplace, the company must ensure that clear boundaries between the company and their clients are established. During business hours, they will need to have a specific people who only assist on holidays and weekends. Additionally, the company also can encourage unlimited vacations and no one ever works after 6 p.m. This can help employees stay productivity during the workday, set client expectations, and help the company retain more employees. As another way for Syarikat Zumaju to assist employees in balancing time, ask the employees whether the system you have put in place are helping or hindering their productivity. It is not always the employee's fault that there is a time management issue. Maybe many of the system and procedures put in place to improve workplace productivity and time management actually is detract from it. Next is consider the simple weekly team meeting. Thus, these meetings appear to be an excellent way to keep everyone up to date, catch up on work progress, and foster a knowledge-sharing environment. Since we all know, some Syarikat Zumaju employees are burdened by their responsibilities to their children, who must be sent to a daycare facilities. This is due to a lack of time management training. Thus, providing time management training is the solution to time management problems. Consider a recent university graduate as a new hire. It's highly unlikely that they ever learn skills like prioritizing, organizing, and communicating. As a result, you may want to enroll them in a time management course or mentor them in techniques that you have discovered to be beneficial. In addition, if one technique fails, suggest that they try another. Efforts to improve your time management training skills, in my opinion, should be made gradually. You must keep experimenting until you find a system that works for you.
Additional question 5. What step can be taken by Syarikat Zumaju's membership against employees who often come to work very late by always giving a reason for traffic congestion? Employers want their employees to arrive on time and to understand the importance of punctuality and reliability in the workplace. For small business like Syarikat Zumaju's membership, staff coming late can have significant time and cost implication. The staff who come late will affect the company due to reduction in the output production. The first step Syarikat Zumaju can take is establishing the ground rules. Ground rules are guidelines by a group to help them function more effectively in the future. The ground rules establish how members of team can help and interact each other. Establishing and articulating a lateness policy can help with this. The ramification of arriving late to work: how will employees be forced to make up loss of time? If the time off is requiring an outline of disciplinary action that will be taken against employees who do not follow the company policy. The second step the Syarikat Zumaju can do is documentation and advice. When an employee arrives late to work, the supervisor on duty should keep track of it. Supervisory training can assist in ensuring the supervisor aware of their obligation and function. Chronic lateness is frequently remanded informally by allowing the employee to explain why he or she is late. Allow the employees to explain why he is frequently late and encourage him to devise a solution that benefits both employee and business with the end goal of the person arriving on time. The third step that Syarikat Zumaju needs to take is to utilize formal disciplinary procedure against employees who are frequently late. If the lateness persists, more formal disciplinary session may be required. If the documentation and advice is that to don't have desired effect, the human resource manager should take quick action such as giving a warning. The final step, the director of Syarikat Zumaju must recognizing a bigger workplace problem in the organization. Considering holding some training session on the significant and responsibilities, as well as recommunicating the policy on a regular basis, we have to keep things
fresh in employee minds.
Okay, for the conclusion, I will conclude all the questions. Start with the first question. Working hours for a day is 8 hours and for a week is 448 hours of work. Depending on the current economy, location, culture, lifestyle choices and individual livelihoods gains. If employees want to supplement their monthly income, they can work overtime. Employees get the benefit of working overtime. Despite the advantages of working overtime, there are also disadvantages of it, which is employee may become tired that can lead the accidents at work to happen. This is said to be so because workers who work overtime can cause them to feel tired and lack of rest. Next, for the question 2. In changing the working hours, the human resource management at Syarikat Zumaju should require of their employees to choose a suitable system of working hours. The human resource manager should request a change to workers' working hours and should look at the individual circumstances of the workers before the company decides to change the working hours. Explain the reasons for the change because it involving all employees in changing working hours. Most of companies need a good team to raise the income of their company. This is important for the company to ensure that the changes are successful. In addition, the company decides to change the working hours to make sure the employees can focus on their jobs such as new proposed hours and pay if applicable. As the conclusion for question 3, action that can be taken as an employee is first of all, the employee can make a complaint or discuss with the Human Resources Department for consultation about the overtime working hours. Human Resources Department at Syarikat Zumaju should do something to solve the burden their employee needs to work overtime with the high task at one time. Moreover, maintaining mental health is very important nowadays. Occupational health is very important to protect employees from disease and hazards that can threaten the health of workers. The Syarikat Zumaju needs to avoid ordering the employee to work beyond working hours time because it can cause someone get not enough rest and sleep. Last but not least, for question 4, the first highlight is establishing limits with their customers. To keep a highly fulfilled and effective workplace, the company must ensure that clear boundaries are established between the company and their clients. It is not always the employee's fault that there is a problem with time management. In real sense, many of the systems and procedures put in place to improve workplace productivity and time management that can actually detract from it. As we all know, some of the employees at Syarikat Zumaju are burdened by their responsibilities to their children who must be sent to daycare facilities. This is due to a lack of time management training. Therefore, the solution to time management problems is to provide time management training. Lastly, for question 5, small business like Syarikat Zumaju, staff coming in late can cause significant time and cost implications. On the other side, chronic lateness can have serious effects for businesses, resulting in significant time and cost savings. There are some items that need to be included in the policy such as employers' expectations regarding punctuality at work. Furthermore, when an employee arrives late to work, the supervisor on duty should keep track of it. Chronic lateness is frequently remedied informally by allowing the employees to explain why they are late. The third step that Syarikat Zumaju needs to take is utilize formal disciplinary procedures. It's critical to emphasize to employees the necessity of appearing on time for work. As the final step, the director of Syarikat Zumaju must recognize a bigger workplace problem in the organisation. So, overall, all existing companies need to take serious towards this kind of problem and follow the legal proper procedure to cope or to solve it. This may protect both parties, which are employers and employees, thus being able to avoid lawsuit. It is not just to reduce legal costs, but it also can reduce employee turnover.